We came so far from dreams. The path was hard for me. They thought we fall, you see. Well, look at us now, look at us now. We make it hot when we on the scene, yeah, that's 1,000 degrees. I got a grind for me and my team, yeah, you know we gon' eat. You see the crowds when we come around, you know that I roll with some kings. We sit it down, I don't hear a sound, but I ask you who better than we. Tell me who better than we. We soaring to places you never could reach. When we walk in that spot, don't hear none of you speak. Shh, do you want peace or the peace? A king about to put you to sleep. Listen, my team is elite. You not even qualified to compete. He starving, he barely can eat. I guess that's why he always itching for beef. So I put him on ice and I told him to chill. Close your mouth if you can't pay for the meal. Making statements that you know you don't mean. Nice guy trying to act like he mean. Keep it a buck, keep it a bean. Attitudes will put you dudes in the beam. Isekai, he don't live in reality. Shake back, all become a fatality. Yeah, how you gon' hate when you mirror us? He think he a star, he ain't serious. X him out, we not on the same frequency. If you broke, you ain't hearing us. Work the screw, anime, that's how I feel, period. We winning, that's making them furious. We make it high when we on the scene, yeah, that's 1,000 degrees. I got a grind for me and my team, yeah, you know we gon' eat. You see the crowds when we come around, you know that I roll with some kings. We sit it down, I don't hear a sound, but I ask you who better than we.
Yo, what do you guys? It is your boy, Leon Mookie here, back with you with a new one-shot what if for you. However, this is be the first of a one-shot what if series, mainly focusing around that of the cartoon series known as Total Drama Island. If you guys have saw my short on that of the rules for this series, then congratulations, you get a cookie. But for those who don't, please go to my shorts and check it out. For today's first competitor, who will be in that of Total Drama Island, is that of Izuku Midoryia from My Hero Academia. Basically the poster child for my content here, with that and being the leader of the underdog trio after all. So yeah, as for this, if you guys remember from that of the short, no, Izuku will not have one for all in this. I'm letting you guys know this now. He is not having one for all. No character that I put into this one-shot series will have any of their powers, just their skills and abilities that they had since birth or that they developed after all. Nothing more, nothing less. But with that said, some of you may be wondering, but Leon, if you're not going to give Izuku one for all, how is he going to be able to make it? Let's not forget about how Izuku was able to clean an entire beach in 1 year and basically grew to have that of a pretty sturdy ass body, and even to this day continues to work out. Plus, even without that of one for all, he still managed to learn that of shoot style back in season 3 after all. So even without one for all, he's still capable as he is. As for this Izuku, he'll be part of that of Total Drama Island's cast. We'll be using that of season 4 Izuku after all. The reason I'm using season 4 Izuku is because he's just at his best, but also still has more to grow. He's more capable and a lot more reassured of himself. However, he still has that of his own shortcomings that he needs to overcome. Mainly that of overthinking and his nervousness against that of women, which he learns to overcome during that of season 5 after all. So I wanted to make this at least a little bit fair for the Total Drama cast after all. Also, as for the team that Izuku will be starting with, will mainly be that of the Screaming Gophers. However, Izuku will basically be replacing one person from that of the Screaming Gophers. And letting you guys know this now, I basically removed him by complete and total random, if you didn't know about the short I made after all. So the person that Izuku will be replacing is that of Justin. I know it seems random, but again, like I said, his removal was random after all. So now the 22 teams are set and the members are all ready to go. Just like in that at the beginning of Total Drama, with everybody arriving and everything, Izuku would arrive too. However, given that this is season 4 Izuku, he would basically still be that of kind and uplifting. Not to mention, add that with him always trying to be positive, he wouldn't see that of the downs. He wouldn't try and, make enemies out of people just yet, or cause any problems. Some people wouldn't see Izuku a bit of a threat, especially given how short he is, being 5'5". However, that could basically bite them in the ass if not thought of properly. The first challenge being that of the always the same, basically jumping from the cliff and into that of the lake, however, being in that of the safe zone as always. Just like that in that of main canon, the killer bass would still have that of 2 people who wouldn't jump, mainly that of Courtney and DJ, with the only person from the Gophers being Beth. Everybody else would still basically be the same. Izuku would also jump too. I mean, he would be a little terrified, but knowing him, he wouldn't back down no matter what. Especially if he noticed somebody is basically in danger and wanted to help them after all. With that, next up would be that of the hot tub challenge for the first challenge after all. And just like that, with the Screaming Gophers having the carts, they make it back to that of the, camp first, and also with that of Izuku also convincing everybody to working together, mainly those who are willing to help out, they would be able to, just like as always, fix up that of the hot tub a lot more sooner. With that, they were basically safe for one night, just like that of canon, with the killer bass sending away, just like in canon, Ezekiel. The second challenge being the wake-a-thon. So, of course, everything would basically go the same as always. Chris basically waking up everybody so early, then having them run around that of the island as well. Then also eating that of a full-on meal, which basically make everybody lose that of their stamina. For that of the true challenge, the wake-a-thon, how long that they could stay up after all. Just like as always, everybody would basically struggle. However, that would basically change, mainly due to Justin not being here. Izuku would definitely have a lot more stamina, unlike that of others, especially given his training. Not to mention, however, where that of Eva would basically drop her MP3 player and Heather would basically take it, however, Izuku wouldn't allow that and would make sure to give it back to Eva. Even though they're on different teams, Izuku is still just a good guy deep down. Eva would be a little bit skeptic of Izuku, however, she would still take it and say at least somewhat thank you. Heather, on the other hand, wouldn't basically like that, especially given Izuku constantly being so goody-goody after all. Painting a target on that of his head, but not so soon just yet. However, as for the Awake-a-thon though, I could see Izuku alongside Gwen basically taking this. Izuku has a lot of stamina, remember, so constantly staying up wouldn't be too much of a problem. As for that of the Killer Bask, unlike that in main canon, the only reason that Eva basically got kicked out was mainly because of her freaking out over that of her MP3 player after all. And since that the only 2 who were remaining were Eva and Harold would definitely be eliminated instead of her, causing the Killer Bass to at least keep that of their heaviest hitter for the next event. However, eliminating Harold could cause a little bit of problems in the future. Next up, the third challenge being that of the Dodgeball game. And honestly, I can see this going either way. I mean, the Killer Bass have at least a lot more power on their hands since Eva's now, still with that of the team after all. Add that with Duncan, they could basically win this. But let's not forget Izuku. I mean, again, people did not think much about him. However, during that of the first event when they saw him shirtless, they showed that of a short Japanese 16-year-old with basically a pretty shredded appearance after all, with tons of scars, especially around that of his right arm and right hand. The Screaming Gopher, and add that with 0-2, and surprisingly, whatever the hell that, Cody was able to do as well, they could get a chance, they could have a win here. And in fact, they do. And the main reason that the Killer Bass lose again is, Tyler. Let's face it, Tyler is useless for the Killer Bass. He may be athletic, but honestly, Izuku is a lot more athletic more than he is, and he's more of a screw-up. He's basically Kirishima if he wasn't properly trained and didn't have spatial awareness. So yeah, next up, the person that would probably be leaving then would definitely be Tyler. As for the next event, that is definitely that of the talent show. And of course, this could be a little bit tricky for that of the, Killer Bask once again. The Screaming Gophers would still be that of the same as well. Mainly because, again, outside of Heather being, well, ballet, Tramp singing alongside playing his guitar, Justin was basically their runner-up. And that would be, and since Izuku replaced him, I could see Izuku basically taking Justin's spot. And you might be wondering why. Well, it's simple, really. This is season 4 Izuku, which means he would also have gone through that of the training with that of Mina for the dance team after all. Add that with his shoot style, well, he would be pretty good, to be honest. Honestly, I can also see Lashana actually giving Izuku at least some pointers about his dancing too, which could help him out a little bit. But other than that, I can still see that of the Screaming Gophers winning this, especially the fact since, well, Harold isn't there. Remember, Harold was basically the clutch for that of the Killer Bass to win the challenge, to be honest, coming in clutch. But since he's gone, that may not have a chance. However, that's only if Courtney basically loses her violin and Bridget basically destroys it. Surprising fact, right after that of the Screaming Gophers basically separate from one another, Izuku would definitely probably be around the stage and would probably see that of Bridget basically doing her handstands and, well, pull the rope, and with one of the light fixtures basically hitting that of Courtney and breaking her violin. Izuku would basically run in, help out Courtney and protect her violin at the same time, which would basically catch the, well, Killer Bass off guard, especially Courtney of all people, who was basically saved by Izuku. Izuku would basically say the same thing anyone of his caliber would. His feet moved on its own, and honestly, he just looked like something bad was about to happen. Just because they're on different teams, Izuku isn't the kind of person to basically allow sabotage. Because of that, I don't see that of Courtney sitting out that of the challenge, which the talent competition should be a lot more easier for that of the Killer Bass, mainly because, again, Heather wouldn't do her ballet dance like she was originally supposed to. She would still basically call out Gwen on that of live TV by reading her diary. After that, Izuku would be absolutely pissed at that, basically humiliating Gwen like that and calling out on that of her crush, which you would think would basically, well, be pretty good. However, I don't see Chef basically giving them the win because of it. The Killer Bass, on the other hand, add that with Courtney, DJ if he doesn't screw up again, which he probably will, and Jeff, given that he breaks his skateboard, and his replacements would have definitely been Katie and Sadie. However, since Eva is still here, on the other hand, and given that she's pretty goddamn strong, I can actually see her getting quite a bit of points too. So in a way, the Killer Bass would win this one and finally get their win after that of 3 losses. And now the Screaming Gophers have to send one person home. Originally in canon, again, Justin was originally supposed to be, well, eliminated after all. With Izuku here, you would think he would be eliminated, being his replacement. Sadly, that's not going to be the case. Given what happened, Izuku would basically try and convince as many people as they can to vote off Heather. Heather is too much of a problem, and she's going to cost them challenges if this keeps up. Izuku's not the kind of person to go behind people's back. However, he's also not the kind of person to allow injustice to keep on going after all. Those on his team like Lashana, Gwen, especially Gwen, and even Trent would agree with Izuku. The only problem is they still need Heather from time to time just in case. So there's one person who hasn't really done anything useful for that of the Screaming Gophers since being on their team. And finally, Noah the Know-It-All finally leaves that of Total Drama Island. Hey, he lasted longer than he did in canon, so hey, kudos to him after all. Next up being that of the 5th challenge, basically sleeping outdoors and running back to the camp. For that, I can see that basically going plenty of ways, to be honest. Oh, and I don't mean this from that of the Killer Bass. The Killer Bass are basically screwed, just like in canon. Katie is gone. The reason I say that is mainly how that of the Screaming Gophers deal with that of the bear situation, given, well, both Izzy pretending to be a bear and also the rear bear showing up. Mainly because I can see Izuku basically handling the bear. And you could say, oh, you're glazing Izuku too much, Leon? Saying, maybe so, but let's not forget he's a shonen protagonist. And this is season 4 Izuku, who's developed his own fighting style and gotten in certain types of fights. Maybe not quirked fights in that of Total Drama Island lore, but specific types of fights, let's say. So handling that of the bear would be easily for Izuku, even if it's a brown bear. So, however, I can still see Izuku basically getting hurt while still fighting the bear though. And knowing Chris, he may get the ratings, but if Izuku dies in some way or another, he's definitely going to lose the show and he can't have that. But all the same, they would still basically make it back to the camp with Katie and Sadie being left behind, causing the Killer Bass to lose the challenge. However, seeing Izuku in his condition after fighting the bear, a few members of the Killer Bass would be worried for Izuku, mainly that of Courtney though. But Izuku would tell him that he's fine and he'll be okay, after being patched up by that of, well, whatever Total Drama staff that they have on hand. The next challenge was basically face their fears, as since that of certain characters are basically gone and some characters are basically staying, it would still be that of Tricky after all. Especially given that Eva's still here, to be honest. Honestly, we have no idea what she's afraid of, to be honest. So I'm gonna have to be a little bit original here and say maybe she's afraid of octopuses? Again, that's just me. As for Izuku, on the other hand, however, how would he overcome his fear? You would think his fear would be that of Bakugo and being around that of women who, well, he's attracted to due to his nervousness. No, honestly, the more realistic fear for Izuku is, well, living up to his mentor's ideals, and that being All Might's ideals. So, honestly, Izuku would basically struggle with this because again, this is Izuku who basically still has self-doubt about himself. He doesn't mind helping out others with that of their problems. Hell, he basically helped out a few people with the Screaming Gophers to handle that of their fears by giving them pep talks. For this, on the other hand, this is kind of struggling because it basically has to deal with that of Izuku's confidence in himself. And let's just say Izuku fails that deeply. However, he was there to support that of Gwen when she was buried alive though, so that causes even more of a friction between that of Trent, Gwen, and Izuku. However, the Screaming Gophers still take this win though, mainly because, well, Courtney, just like in canon, she wouldn't be able to handle her fear of basically going into that of green gelatin after all. Which also means, finally, Courtney gets eliminated. I know a lot of Courtney haters were finally glad about that. Next up would be that of the canoe race to that of Boney Island. And, well, honestly, this could basically go the same as canon, to be fair. I mean, especially since, well, Harold is gone, I don't see them basically burning their paddles after all. So that wouldn't happen. Izzy would still be that of the would still help out the Screaming Gophers, but I could see her being a bit of a problem though. Add that with another thing that could also be a problem for the Screaming Gophers as well. And that problem finally kicked in with the, well, DJ alongside that of a few, and Duncan, and even Eva basically coming in clutch in that of the race, which basically has the Screaming Gophers their second loss in elimination ceremony. And just like in canon, Izzy would definitely be eliminated, or eliminated I should say, due to that of the RCMP after all, basically chasing after her. Izuku seeing this couldn't help but feel a little bit worried around Izzy from now on. That could become a little bit convoluted in the future. Next up is that of the deer hunt. And add that to that of the, well, Killer Bass having lesser members and the Screaming Gophers having at least a lot more members, which means that of the Killer Bass would have 6 hunters and 6 deer. As for Izuku, I can also see him as a deer, to be honest, for that of the Screaming Gophers. Not because I'm basically causing Izuku pain, but mainly because he's actually pretty damn quick on his feet after all. He would be able to dodge that of paintball fire after all. However, the biggest problems would be that of, well, the so-called alliance between that of Heather, Beth, and Lindsay. That would still basically be fracturing after all, mainly due to a certain little item from Boney Island that a certain person took. But sooner or later, it was definitely going to happen either way. So once again, they would basically turn on each other, make it easy for that of the killer bass to take them all out. However, there would be at least one little change. Izuku, being a deer, would at least keep an eye on that of his fellow deers, well, outside of Heather, to be honest. Like, for example, Cody basically having that of chips in his hand, eating chips while during the competition after all, and being mauled by a bear. Izuku wouldn't let that happen and basically save Cody before things got out of hand. Not wanting to fight another bear, he would basically get out of there before things got out of hand. So yeah, honestly, Cody doesn't get mauled and basically bandaged up entirely. And because of that, well, Heather finally gets eliminated because again, everybody has been gunning for her forever, such as Lashana, Izuku, Gwen, add that with Beth, and even Lindsay was convinced too, mainly because of Izuku telling her to stand up for herself and she's not a puppet. Let's just say Heather would be quite goddamn pissed because of that. However, that's also the time when Beth would basically shout out that her good luck charm was the cause of them getting rid of Heather, especially when she brought up that she got it from that of the other island during their last challenge, which was basically the idol from Boney Island. After hearing that, everybody was basically shocked. Hell, even Izuku was kind of shocked and kind of felt, well, betrayed. To honestly realizing that they could have lost again if Beth didn't bring that up after all. However, there's still high chances, but it would have been reassured if they would have lost again if Beth didn't bring it up. Even though they got rid of Heather, Beth is kind of on thin ice now. Next up being that of the cooking competition of 3-course meals. With Heather gone, that basically means no bossiness and no, well, mismanagement as well. Not to mention, since Beth brought up the fact that she got rid of that of her idol and plans on trusting everybody, she wants to give it her all. With then everybody wondering on who should be the lead chef, with Lashana actually taking the spot this time. You would think Izuku would have taken the spot, however, again, this is still season 4 Izuku. He's not in that of the leader role yet until like season 5. He's willing to step up, but not in this case. However, even with, well, Heather gone and the Screaming Gophers now a more coherent team, the Killer Bass still win the cooking competition, mainly because they have better teamwork and cohesion together. Plus, they actually act more like friends. I mean, sure, Izuku gets along with that of Gwen, Trent, and Owen, alongside Cody, and Lashana, and Beth, and Lindsay. However, he only can see like he can trust that of, well, Gwen, Lindsay, and Trent, and maybe Owen from time to time. Mainly because Cody and that of, well, Beth kinda breaks Izuku's trust. So once again, the Screaming Gophers takes another loss, and unfortunately, it leads to that of Beth basically being eliminated once again. Next up being that of the trust exercise competition, and personally, that also goes just like Canon 2. The only difference is, well, Gwen doesn't lose her underwear. However, unlike that in court with Canon with Courtney finding out about Duncan helping out DJ after his lost bunny, it was actually Izuku who found this out instead, calling Duncan an actual good guy, deep down, than just a delinquent thug. And just like in Canon, originally DJ would have been removed, however instead it's actually Sadie, because just like in Canon, she also leaves, mainly because she kept screwing up, which really pissed off Eva. Next up is Chef's, well, boot camp after all, and, well, that kind of goes somewhat similar too with Canon as well, with Izuku actually dealing with something similar to this, to be honest. Dealing with that of Chef wouldn't even be a problem for that of the Greenette. So alongside Gwen and himself, they would basically win it for the Screaming Gophers. As for the Killer Bass, there's only one person that they can actually send home that I feel like deserves it, and that's Eva. As much as I think that Duncan should be eliminated, Eva still has a bit of a temper after all, even with her basically being a lot more mellowed out as the competition goes on. But she would still be a bit of a problem. So yeah, Eva's finally kicked out of the competition. lasted longer than that of any canon, to be fair. Next up being the Extremes Games competition. Once again, I would still feel like that would be the same, with the scoreboard being tied up, with DJ getting a win for the Basque and Lashana getting a win for that of the Gophers. The last one would be that of the, mud ski racing. And given that there's less members of the Basque, that also means they're going to have to try and take turns in each event, to be honest. Like, for example, I could see that of Bridget basically taking Harold's spot for the final event, basically being the mud ski racing. And the one driving the ski would definitely be Izuku. However, given how much of too much of a nice guy he is even though this is a challenge, I don't think he wanted to hurt Bridget that much. He would still try, but it could cause a problem with his team. But however, that wouldn't mean anything given that, Bridget would still win. The last one would be that of, Duncan and Lindsay. And once again, it would be another tie. So what would that mean? Well, first time in canon, this is basically the first non-elimination round. Nobody goes home. Next up would be that of the Brunch of Disgustingness. And soon the teams would basically be separated from guys to girls. And given that there are more guys than girls, let's just say there's a little bit of a catch for the guys. If none of them can fully, eat their food entirely, then they don't win. If the girls can basically, eat all of it as well, then they basically take a point. However, if a single guy can't eat all their food, then they don't even get a chance to get a point at all. And let's just say the competition is brutal, especially given that Izuku, Duncan argue a lot after all. Even though Izuku respects him and thinks he's a good guy, he can't help but get annoyed at the fact that Duncan is kind of bossy after all, and belittles too, reminding him a lot of Bakugo, but less loud. But just like in canon, it ends off with that of a tiebreaker match between that of Owen and Lashana. And just like in canon, Owen takes the win. Given that it wasn't an elimination challenge, but a reward challenge, the guys basically get a paid trip to a spa. With that of the next one being the, merger after all. So every camper for themselves now. And this is where Izuku is going to struggle a lot. Izuku is at his best when he has a team by his side. Let's be honest. And now with the merger, Izuku's going to struggle a lot. Add that with two campers who basically are coming back. This time, it's actually going to be random. For Eva, not for that of, Izzy. Izzy is definitely coming back, mainly because she wasn't truly eliminated, to be honest. The person that's making a comeback after popular demand being Heather. And when I mean by popular demand, I mean by random lottery spin. And now she's truly coming after everybody from the Screaming Gophers, who basically kicked her out. Basically, it's the challenge if people can survive or last longer in torturous situations for that of 10 seconds. And let's just say, Izuku has been through quite a bit of torturous situations, and he can handle this pretty easily. However, it's a problem of finding somebody that could actually, be eliminated, to be honest. Given that, once again, Lashana ends up getting that of immunity. So, as she came and gone, Heather basically leaves total drama once again because nobody wants to deal with that shit. Next up is the treasure chest challenge, and let's just say this one was pretty tricky as well. I'm not trying to give Izuku that of unfavorable wind conditions just because he's one of my all-time favorite protagonists. So I ended up using one of my 20-sided die. If it landed on 20, he gains that of the immunity. If it didn't, and if he ended up 1, he would basically be eliminated. Mainly because this challenge is basically the luck of the draw and based in good chances after all. Nothing more and nothing less. As for that of Trent and Gwen, the two of them just started dating after all, which means another alliance is formed. But that aside, Izuku is surprisingly safe. My die basically landed on a 10. He doesn't get immunity, but he definitely doesn't get eliminated automatically. As for the one getting immunity, I gotta go with Duncan. And let's just say he's gonna start his villain arc pretty early in this season. Next up is hide and seek. And honestly, I could see Izuku basically getting immunity in this one. And not just him, but also Lashana as well. I could see the two of them basically working together to basically get out of this. Given that these two would have had a pretty good bond with each other. Not as, well, a couple, but as friends. But doing so also would begin that of an alliance between that of Lashana, Izuku, Gwen, and Trent. Even Bridget as well. However, both Izuku would basically want to bring in Cody, Lindsay, and Jeff into this alliance as well. Lashana would be okay with that of Jeff being part of if he can basically keep a secret. But if not, he's out. As for Izuku, he can only bring in either Lindsay or Cody. He can't bring in both, given that they screwed up in past challenges before after all. With that, it left Izuku somewhat of a dilemma, wondering on who he should tell them about that of this alliance after all. And surprisingly, he chose, well, Lindsay. As much as he likes Cody, he reminds him too much of his past self. Too trusting and way too nervous when it comes to being in that of uncomfortable situations. As much as he wants to help out Cody as well, it's easier said than done. However, as for the person being eliminated though, it has to be Cody too. Cody's not as useful as people think he is. And yeah, he came pretty far, you gotta give him credit for that. But as challenges goes on, he's not gonna be useful anymore. The next challenge is that of building their own bikes. And let's just say Izuku is, well, he's pretty good, but he's not good at building a bike. Hell, the only person that basically taught him on how to build at least some things when he's around her tells him that he's only at a basic beginner level of building stuff. So building a bike was going to be harder than expected. But with at least a little bit of help from that of surprisingly Duncan, Jeff, and also that of, well, Owen, Izuku at least got some things down for that of his own bike. However, he doesn't make it to that of the second competition, unfortunately, and basically gets eliminated. But not eliminated from the game, just from that of the entirety of the challenge. Just like the others. The only people that, well, basically are still in the challenge is Duncan, Lindsay, Owen, and also Trent as well, surprisingly. And if I'm going to be completely honest, given that even without that of, well, Heather's help or being manipulated by her, I could see Lindsay basically winning the challenge and gaining immunity. As for the person who gets passed, well, honestly, it has to be either between that of Duncan, Owen, or Trent. And personally, I gotta go with Trent. He's the second one who passes the line, which means he's automatically eliminated, since he was the second one crossing the finish line right after Lindsay. If he didn't, and basically wiped out alongside that of Duncan and Owen, he could have basically stayed safe and it would have been no elimination. But honestly, he gets through, which means Trent's gone. And it also means a less member for that of Izuku and Lashana's alliance. And because of that, Lindsay feels a little bit bad due to it. Next up is that of the Psycho Killer Challenge. And honestly, this isn't even a competition for Izuku. Even with Chef, or even that of the original Psycho Killer with a hook, Izuku could handle both of them easily, with or without his quirk. So he would definitely get immunity. However, there is one person who would screw up during this entire challenge. And that mainly is, well, Lindsay. He constantly was scared and afraid all the time. Hell, there was even a moment where Izuku literally had to save and protect her just to make sure that she stayed safe. And yet she always wandered off like that of one of those easy kill girls from a horror movie, which made it harder for Izuku to handle both Chef after all. So yeah, Lindsay's out of the game. Next up is the animal capture, where the campers have to basically capture a special sneak animal for this challenge. And honestly, it made a little different given on who Izuku had to go after. And honestly, I figured that the animal that Izuku would go after would be a bear, making it a little bit easy, to be honest. He fought a bear before, he can do it again. But he won't be coming back with a bear without a scratch, to be honest. Hell, even having to carry it back was kind of a challenge too, with all the wounds he basically sustained from it, causing Lashana to be a little worried for Izuku. I mean, of course, since they're basically an alliance, of course she'd be worried. However, you would think with that of this challenge, Izuku would be out due to his injuries. Hell, Heather basically got tranked, and yet she wasn't, well, eliminated. It was originally Izzy. However, instead of Izzy, it's actually Bridget. Remember, Bridget is an animal lover. She hates hurting any animal, especially that of aquatic animals in general. So yeah, you really think she would be okay with the whole hunting thing? So once again, Izzy is safe, which makes Izuku a little worried, to be honest. Speaking of, well, the next challenge being that of the trust exercise once again, but with basically being handcuffed to that of your partner. And surprisingly, Izuku's partner is, well, Izzy. Yeah, you heard me right. He's with Izzy, and now he can get at the reason why and Izzy's basically wondering why Izuku was so worried around her, as they didn't have any problems before, but as soon as she came back, he's always kept her distance away from her. It's mainly because he doesn't like that she's basically a wanted criminal by the Canadian government. With then, hearing that, Izzy basically lasted off a little bit, saying that's totally understandable. I'm not really a wanted fugitive, let's just say I've just done some things that they want me back for. Currently, I'm just doing the show for that of the fun of it. After hearing that, Izuku saying, so you're not a criminal? Saying, nope, just a girl that's on a break. Within hearing that, Izuku saying, wow, okay then. However, Izuku's not entirely convinced though, but he lets it go for that of the competition, of course. They were able to basically handle that of the leftover brunch of disgustingness alongside that of the paddle race to Boney Island, mainly to return that of the tiki shard that Beth had, which made Izuku's opinion of Beth go down even more. And last but not least, that of the put and roll on who would basically got eliminated each turn. And since Izuku has a pretty good memory, especially when it comes to remembering people's faces and names, he would definitely be able to get everything in order, causing he and Izzy to basically gain that of immunity. And there's only one person left to basically be eliminated from. Jeff. Yeah, I said it. Jeff is definitely getting eliminated. As much as I love the guy, he's kind of served his purpose as well. Originally, Izuku would have been eliminated if he didn't pass the challenge pretty easily, but again, he did. So, nothing ventured, nothing gained. Now, the next up being that of the whole total drama campers basically voting off another camper. And you would think that Lashana would just be the next one. And she basically moves on. This, honestly, unfortunately, this is where Izuku's lucky streak ends. And he finally gets eliminated. A few members from past campers basically vote for Izuku. Even though many people basically think that Izuku should win, such as that of Courtney, Trent, Lindsay, Beth, and Cody, unfortunately, it doesn't happen that way, mainly due to that of Katie and Sadie's bullshit and everybody else doing the whole saying Izuku's name all at once. Hell, Heather basically takes pride in this, given that she actually hated Izuku with a passion. So yeah, Izuku is finally eliminated from Total Drama Island, all because people cared about him too fucking much. But what I expect, Izuku basically has the least amount of plot armor in all of anime. It's both his strong suit and also his downfall. So yeah, Izuku's eliminated and no longer in Total Drama, and basically with that of the other campers too. However, being a Total Drama was more than just to win that of the $100,000 after all. Instead, it was basically a sting operation for Izuku. It was basically ordered by that of the Japanese government and also the US government, partner with that of the Canadian government to understand that Chris McLean has caused quite a bit of problems for that of, well, all three of their countries, and is basically a wanted fugitives for basically fraudery, criminal negligence, gaslighting, people endangerment, and many others. And yeah, Izuku has quite a bit of a case against the guy. Not to mention, he's living fucking proof. Even though he did sign a waiver, it still caused quite a bit of a problem. So during that of the final episode, which surprisingly, the ones who basically made it to that of the finals, well, Izzy and Owen actually. And no, they're not a couple, they're basically still against each other. Mainly Izzy still pissed at Owen, and Izuku deciding to support with that of Izzy, and another thing about that of her. Let's just say she's a wanted criminal, but not wanted though. And of course, winning Total Drama Island is, well, Izzy. Why do I say that? Well, right after Izuku was basically eliminated, they had that of double elimination. Right after the storm that basically swept away that of the camp and them finding about their deep, darkest secrets. Then there's that of the survival challenge, once again, with boys working with girls. Lashana and Duncan were the ones who got eliminated, leaving that of Owen, Gwen, and Izzy for that of the Triple Dog Dare You challenge. And as much as I love Gwen, and I really do love her, there's no way in hell our favorite goth girl is going to be able to basically match the craziness that is Owen and Izzy. So yeah, all that's left was the finals between that of Izzy and Owen. And like I said, Izzy takes it. Girl's too crazy, too crafty, and too agile. Sure, there are some times when this is the same girl who can go toe-to-toe with that of Chef, survive the woods perfectly, and yet she still always ends up being her own worst enemy, surprisingly. In this timeline, she doesn't, winning her the $100,000. However, as soon as that of the competition ends, that's when the Canadian Special Forces, alongside that of, well, US military special forces and the Japanese special forces basically show up and hold Chris at gunpoint. Wondering what the hell is going on, with even all of the contestants actually caught off guard by this, with Izuku being the only one showing up saying, "Chris McLean, you are under arrest by suspicion of embezzling money, unsafe work conditions, covering of deaths, child endangerment, and frauditism. You have a right to remain silent." With Chris completely utterly confused and speaking out, "Dude, you cannot be serious!" And Izuku, what the actual hell, man? Within Izuku shaking his head saying, "Save it for the judge. Your crimes are too reprehensible to speak of. Take him away." Leaving all of the campers or contestants basically baffled. Within Izuku saying, "Sorry guys, I would explain things, but I better get going. Whenever you guys see yourself in Japan, head to the city of Mustafa. I would love to show you around my school and everything and meet my other friends. And I won't lie, I enjoyed myself." After that, Izuku walks off with that of all the other soldiers, still leaving everybody completely dumbfounded and wonder on who the hell is he, as they would basically see the greatest intelligence gathering agent in all of Japan, trained by the greatest soldier in all of Japan as well. And that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Love to read them. So, how'd you guys like this part? Sorry that Izuku didn't win, but again, this is Izuku we're talking about. As much as like I said before, as much as I love the guy, he can struggle from time to time, and the individual challenges would have had him struggling, especially being a likable guy too. With or without his quirk, he would still struggle, but he could still handle himself. For being a shonen protagonist alone basically proves it after all. However, this is only that of the Screaming Gophers route. How about we check out how Izuku does in that of the Killer Bass route? Does he improve better, or does things get worse? Just stay tuned to find out. And that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Love to read them. So, how did you guys like this? Tell me in the comments below if whatever you thought. Do you think I did pretty well? Or do you think I went a little bit overboard? Who could say? At any rate, if you guys like this, please like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell notification to keep to date my videos upload to the channel. Also, please check out my Discord, gaming channel, other channel, side channel, Patreon, and PayPal. All link in the description below. So, with all that said, this is Leon Mookie signing out. Later, guys, and hope you all take care. Take it away, Shiro.
Hi everyone, this is White Fox. If you liked Leon's video, click the video on the left to see the most recent one. And if you want to see more of this, click the subscribe button and notification bell and check out his playlists. If you still haven't subscribed, do so in the center. With that said, I hope to see you again on my love's channel. Bye!